conversation we had with Ken was about communication, and what it has unveiled for me is a new vision of the level of mastery of communication that Celebrity Launchpad graduates are going to have. When you graduate from Celebrity Launchpad, when you communicate, people are going to feel heard and understood and appreciated, and that you like them, and that they like you, and that you're a great person, and that you're present in the moment, and that everything you say has total clarity and is appropriate and makes sense and inspires them to want to do what you want them to do. That's what you're going to get when you graduate from Celebrity Launchpad from now on. And that's all a result of the conversation that April and I had last night with Ken Carr at dinner, talking about how to open a conversation with a host. So, for example, our guest today on the show is April Armstrong. She's the best-selling author of The Day One Executive. April, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Good morning.
Hey, you say that communication and influence is something that people, all walks of life, need to do. What are you talking about, influence?
The Pew Center for Research says that communication skills ultimately influence. That's the number one skill that kids need to get ahead in their lives. And it makes sense because we spend up to 40% of every day in some sort of an influence conversation. Now, obviously, some of those are very small, like where are we going for lunch today? And some of those are very big, like talking your boss into being willing to take a risk with one of your new ideas, or talking a customer into trying a new product, or my mind went blank on a third example. But and so the better influencer you are, the more success you will have in your life with those big influence conversations when they really count.
Now, you say there's basically 3 types of influence conversation?
Well, actually, so in my 20 years of experience working with the White House, Fortune 500 companies, the Department of Defense, I see 3 common mistakes that people make that cause them to lose out on their influence, that cost them their influence. Mistake number 1 is what I like to call the Robert De Niro mistake. If you've seen the movie Analyze This, there's that great scene where Robert De Niro...
Okay, so you're getting a little lost because you are forgetting. Mistake number 1 is what I call the Robert De Niro mistake, ending up. Okay, if you've seen that movie, Analyze This. If you don't end up, then the result is you end down. And when you end down, we can't hear what you're saying.
Okay.
We just can't hear it. It gets lost.
Okay, I hear you.
Okay?
Yep. So, mistake number 1 is the Robert De Niro mistake. If you've seen that movie, Analyze This, there's that great scene where Robert De Niro is looking at Billy Crystal and he says, you look good, you. And that perfectly illustrates...
You're good, you. Or else we don't hear it.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll be louder, but okay.
Then you should be louder right now.
You're good, you. And that perfectly illustrates mistake number 1. Because research shows that people do things for their reasons, not ours. So if you want to influence me, you got to make it more about me and less about you.
Oh, that's such a great point. And what's the second mistake that people make?
The second mistake is mixing influence appeals. Now, most people don't realize that there are multiple distinct influence appeals. For example, a head-based appeal, very fact-oriented. A heart-based appeal, all the reasons why, all the ways it'll make you feel if you'll just do what I'm asking. And the gut-based appeal, all the consequences of the things that will happen if you don't do what I'm asking. And often people mix these all into one conversation. For example, this glass of water represents my clear appeal to your intellect. And if in the same conversation I start pouring in some heart-based appeal and I start pouring in some gut-based appeal, how appealing is this now? It's not. You don't want to buy this. You don't even know what it is. So don't mix influence appeals. Pick the best one for the situation
So don't
and stick
mix
with it.
influence appeals.
So don't mix influence appeals.
Yeah, you're ending down.
Okay, don't mix influence appeals.
And I'm telling you, especially when you use any kind of a jargony word, like appeal. Like, nobody uses that word.
Okay, what's a better word?
I have no idea.
Okay, tactics?
Strategy.
Strategy?
Strategy.
Influence strategy? Okay, I like that. Mixing influence strategies.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, a head-based strategy would focus on facts. A heart-based strategy would focus on
Mixing, okay,
feelings.
the first and the second mistake is mixing your strategies that you use when you try to influence someone. So, for example, you could use a strategy where you appeal to their mind, like with clear logic.
Yeah, okay.
Or you could use a second strategy where you appeal to their heart
Yeah.
with emotions, like how you'll feel when I do this for you. Or the third strategy that a lot of people use is appealing to a person's gut by making them worry about what'll happen if they don't do what I do.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
That's great. I love that. I'm going to dial that in. Yes, exactly.
Go ahead, try that.
I like that.
Try that.
So mistake number 2 is mixing influence strategies. So, for example, what was it you said about? I liked what you said. Damn it! What'd you say?
What?
Say it
Influence
again.
strategies. So, for example, you could use a strategy where you appeal to a person's mind with logic.
Okay. So, for example, you could use a strategy where you appeal to a person's mind with logic and facts, or you could choose a different strategy, like appealing to their heart, where you're really focusing on the feelings, how they're going to feel if they do what you're asking. Or another strategy people like to use is a strategy that really appeals to the gut, like making them worry about what will happen if they don't do what you're asking. Well, and any one of those is fine to use by itself, but the mistake is mixing those all at once in one conversation. It's like me taking this glass of water that represents my clear appeal to your mind, and then pouring in some heart-based appeal, and then pouring in a little gut strategy all in there. And now, how appealing is this? It's not. You don't even know what it is. You're not going to drink this. So don't mix influence strategies.
Yeah, don't mix up the strategies you use to influence people.
Don't mix up the strategies you use to influence people.
Right.
Pick one and stick with it. Mistake number 3. No. Just don't mix. I'll keep on the mistake. Don't mix the strategies.
How to Win Friends and Influence People is one of the all-time best-selling books. And there's a reason to that. Because people need to influence other people every day.
Well, that's good. So at the very beginning?
Yeah. Forget about the Pew Research Center.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I should cite the stat? Because it is kind of interesting, isn't it? That's the number 1 skill. I mean, and if you're a parent out there, they might be interested in that. Like,
Okay,
wow,
well,
never thought about that.
add that in. Add that. How to Win Friends and Influence People has been one of the all-time self-help bestsellers. Has been one of the all-time bestsellers in this. Oh, I'm recording. Has been How to Win Friends and Influence People has been one of the all-time best-selling books in the self-help category for decades. And the reason is that we have to influence people every day. Where do you want to go to lunch? I want to go here. I know I want to go here. That's a conversation about influence.
And
According to Pew Research Center, influence is the number 1 skill that kids need to get ahead today.
So it's really important.
Right. So I'm really excited to be here today to share with you
Top tips.
my best tips about how to influence people
Yeah.
that I've learned over a decade working in Washington, in the White House, in the Department of Defense, helping top leaders influence giant organizations,
Oh my God,
and
I
how
don't even remember all this
and
stuff.
how
Okay.
this can help you and your kids get ahead in the world.
Okay. Oh my God. I love it.
Say it.
I hope
Go ahead,
I
say
can
it. Go ahead, say it
dial
right
it
now.
in by
Go ahead,
10.
say it right now.
Oh my God. Okay, so How to Win Friends and Influence People has been a bestseller. How do I say
Has
that?
been an all-time best-selling book for decades.
Okay, has been How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie has been a best.
Not by Dale Carnegie. How to Win Friends and Influence People.
How to Win Friends and Influence People has been a bestseller for decades, and for a reason, because we're all influencing people every single day. In fact, the Pew Center for Research cites influence, says that.
Where do you want to have lunch?
Okay, you're right.
Where do you want to have lunch? I want to go here. No, I want to go here. That's a conversation about influence.
Okay. Yeah. So, has been a bestseller for decades, because we're all influencing people every single day. Some of those influence conversations are really small, like where do we want to go to lunch, and some of them are very big. Because I kind of want to make the point that, like,
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
telling you all this.
Good.
You're not going to go through all this influence your friend on
I
where
get
to go
it.
to lunch. But I want to say, but some of those conversations really count. And when it really counts, you need to have good influence skills.
This is what you
need to
said.
have good influence skills.
You
You need
need-
to be able to rock that influence moment.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
You need to be able to rock that
You need
influence.
to be able to rock that influence moment when it counts.
Yeah.
When it counts. In fact, the Pew Center for Research says that influence is the most important skill kids need to get ahead in their lives. So whether you're a parent or a... So I'm so delighted, I'm so happy to be here today to share some of the top tips that I've learned over 2 decades of working in Washington, D.C. with the White House, Fortune 500 companies, Department of Defense, about influence.
Great.
Okay.
Helping leaders. Helping
Yeah.
the top leaders in America. Helping the top leaders in America.
Running giant organizations.
Influence their giant organizations.
Okay.
Okay?
Damn it, I like that. Okay. Helping top leaders in America
Influence their giant.
Organizations.
Yeah. Great. And this is all going to help you.
And this is all going to help you.
Great. Great. So you say there's mistakes to avoid when you're influencing people?
There are 3 big mistakes that I see all the time. Mistake number 1 is the Robert De Niro mistake. Mistake number 1 is the Robert De Niro mistake.
Is what I call the Robert De Niro mistake.
Mistake number 1 is what I call the Robert De Niro mistake.
Louder. I don't care. I was in there yesterday with Dr. Pooh, and there were little kids in there and other people, and I'm like, louder.
Okay, mistake number 1 is what I call the Robert De Niro mistake. If you've seen that movie, Analyze This, there's that great scene in it where Robert
Okay,
De Niro...
look, you and I know what you're talking about, but nobody else knows what the fuck you're talking about. So you got to be really clear. The Robert De Niro mistake.
I said that.
No, you didn't. You said
Okay.
the Robert De Niro
I
mistake.
said it's what I call the Robert De Niro mistake.
You can't say it so fast. You have to emphasize the word Robert De Niro. You and I know what Robert De Niro is, but we're talking to housewives in Tucson. They're not thinking about Robert De Niro.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Mistake number 1 is what I call the Robert De Niro mistake.
The Robert De Niro mistake.
Mistake number 1 is what I call the Robert De Niro mistake.
Good.
If you've seen that awesome movie, Analyze This, there is...
Analyze This. What do you think? Everyone's thinking about Analyze This? They don't remember?
If you've seen that great movie, Analyze This, there is that classic scene where Robert De Niro is looking at Billy Crystal and he says, You.
You're good, you.
And that perfectly
Do
illustrates...
that. You.
You're good, you. And that perfectly illustrates mistake number 1. Because research shows that people do things for their reasons, not ours. So if you want to influence me, you got to make it more about me and less about you.
Good.
Mistake number 2 is mixing influence strategies. Now, maybe you want to use a strategy. There are multiple, you can use any number of influence
Mistake
strategies.
number 2 is mixing up the strategies you use
that's good, okay.
to influence people.
Damn it, you're good. Mistake number 2 is mixing up the influence
The
strategies.
strategies you use.
Mixing the strategies you use to influence people.
When you try to influence people.
Mistake number 2 is mixing up the strategies you use when you try to influence people.
When you try to influence people.
When you try to influence people. For example, maybe you want to use a mind-based strategy where you're really focused on logic.
You know what this
and
segment can be
facts.
called? How to manipulate friends and influence people.
And have them be happy that you did it. That's what I love about these techniques. But anyway, okay,
Yeah,
so,
but you see how this
yes.
evolved? It's how to win friends and influence people, how to manipulate friends and influence people, and have them be, and then it has an asterisk, and how to be happy that you did it. That's the title of a book. How to manipulate friends and influence people, asterisk, and have them be happy you did it.
Okay.
That's your book title.
Okay. It's my 4th book title. Okay. So, Mistake number 2 is
You.
mixing up the strategies you use when you try to influence people. For example, maybe you want to use a mind-based strategy, clear logic, facts. Or another strategy you can use is a heart-based strategy.
No.
No.
No. So, for example, you could use a strategy where you appeal to the person's mind
Okay.
with clear facts.
Let me say that. So, for example, you could use a strategy where you want to appeal to a person's mind with clear facts. Or maybe you want to appeal to their heart with all the feelings that good feelings they'll have if they just do what you're asking. Or maybe you want to use a strategy where you're trying to appeal to their gut. You want them to worry about what will happen if they don't do what you're asking. Any one of these is great and can be quite effective alone. But if you start mixing these strategies in one conversation, you're going to cost yourself influence. For example, if I take this glass of water and this represents my clear appeal to your mind, and then I start pouring in some heart stuff, and then I start pouring in some gut-based stuff, how appealing is this to you now? It's not.
Snot.
It's not.
Snot.
It's not. You don't want this. And neither do they. So don't mix those strategies.
Good.
Mistake number 3 is, now I think Clint, Ken was saying he was having a hard time following some of this. I'm wondering about if these metaphors are so different, like the brain can't keep up with them. I used a Hollywood metaphor and then I'm doing this mixing.
No.
Maybe I shouldn't call this an Olympic medal thing.
No, that's not the problem. The problem was the heart-based appeal. What the fuck is a heart-based appeal? Get it?
Okay, fine.
All right.
So, the third mistake number 3, is what I call the Olympic medal missed moment.
The Olympic medal moment.
But in an Olympic medal moment, you did what it took, so you're not making a mistake. The mistake would be if you didn't do what it took.
Okay, so the third mistake is what I call missing your Olympic medal moment.
I like that. Mistake number 3 is what I call missing your Olympic medal moment because you weren't prepared.
It's not even what I call. Mistake number 3 is missing your Olympic medal moment.
Okay, that's so good. Oh my God, you're good. Mistake number
You're
3.
good, you.
You're good, you. Oh, you're good.
You.
Mistake number 3 is what I call your Olympic. No, I need to not say that. Mistake number 3 is your Olympic medal moment. Is your missed Olympic medal moment. Is that
Mistake number 3 is missing your Olympic medal moment. And how come you're going to miss it? Because you weren't prepared.
God, I love that. Mistake number 3 is missing your Olympic medal moment. And why did you miss that moment? Because you weren't prepared.
Now imagine. Now remember. Think back and remember your favorite Olympic medalists when they were getting that gold medal on the podium.
Think back and remember your favorite Olympic gold medalist when they were getting that medal on that podium. Do you think that they got there? Did they get there because they just really wanted it? Because they showed up that day? No. They got there because they put in countless hours of preparation and rehearsal and drilling to be ready for that moment and any number of scenarios that could unfold in that moment. That's how they got to that podium, just to have the chance to get on that podium. And you need to be willing to do the exact same thing if you want to have a chance to rock your Olympic medal moment with influence.
Yeah, to rock your Olympic medal influence moment.
To be ready to rock your Olympic medal influence moment.
Yeah.
Dear God, I hope I can remember all of this. Okay.
Hey, baby.
To be able to rock your Olympic medal influence moment.
Yeah.
And then she's going to say, so you've got a simple formula to help people, or you've got some tips to share with our audience on how to do, how to be effective with influence.
Yeah.
It's my simple win formula.
Nope, don't say win formula, okay? No. If you want...
She might say it, but if she doesn't,
okay.
Do I say it?
No, you don't say formula. You go, hey, when you're trying to influence somebody, you want to win. W.
Okay. That's good. When you want to influence somebody, you want to win. You want to win. W.
W.
Wonder.
Everything is
I
up.
the sign language W.
No, everything is up. W.
W. Wonder. Wonder, what will it take for this other person to win also with what I'm asking of them? I identify the most appropriate strategy to influence the other person based on the situation and stick with it.
Now say I, more happy and fun.
I.
No, more fun.
I.
Yeah. Everything has to be fun. Now look, this is really important. When you're in the studio, the entire time that you're there is a performance. Just like last night when we were at dinner with Ken. The entire time that we're there, it's a performance. The whole thing is being evaluated in that producer's mind. Every moment they're looking at you, they're deciding, do I want this person back?
Yeah.
So every time, everything you say has to be fun. You have to be up the whole time. You have to just be sunshine and
unicorns and sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, and rainbows the whole time. That's exactly right. So
and hummingbirds.
And especially hummingbirds. Oh my God! And my little puppy Nova. I miss Nova.
That's a really cute puppy. I have to say, Nova is adorable.
I miss Nova. So W. Okay, so when you're trying to influence somebody, you want to win. W.
When you're trying to influence somebody, you want to win. W. Wonder. What will it take for this person to win also with what you're asking? I. Identify the most appropriate strategy to influence the other person based on the situation and stick with it, for God's sakes, unless and until you can see that it's not working. And then, and only then, should you switch to a different strategy. N, necessary. You've got to be willing to do what is necessary to get yourself ready and in position to rock that moment. That may mean research, that may mean role playing, that definitely means thinking through a number of scenarios because the conversation could go any number of ways. And if you put in the time to prepare yourself, you'll be ready for all of it. You'll be ready to win in your winfluence moment.
Good. See, I think you could really do this whole like rainbows and unicorns and Nova thing because that's really, I'll tell you why I think you could do it. Because it's really like what a secret agent would do. Like, you know, the secret agent is like seducing the person, getting them into bed, making them believe that they love them, and then psst, knife right in the heart. And you could do that, can't you? All that Washington training of yours, you can do that. You could do that. You could do that, right? You've been trained for that kind of shit, haven't you? Ah! I do whatever I want. This is my rehearsal studio. When you want to influence somebody, you want to make sure you win. W.
When you want to influence somebody, you want to make sure you win. W.
W.
W. Wonder. What will it take for this person to win also with what I'm asking?
Yeah, that's weak ending with what I'm ending. Wonder. What's it gonna take to turn this into a win-win for them and me?
Okay. What's it gonna? Is win-win so overused?
Because it works.
Okay. W. Wonder. What's it gonna take to turn this into something that's win-win for them and for me?
Good. I
identify the strategy that is best for you. Identify the Clint, that is distracting.
Whatever.
Identify the strategy that is best for the situation, and stick with it, unless and until.
Identify one strategy that you're gonna use.
Identify one strategy that you're gonna use based on the situation, and stick with it, unless and until you can tell it's not working. And then and only then do you throw it out and pick a different strategy, but never mix them.
And never mix them.
And never mix them.
And never mix them.
And never mix them.
And
you got to be willing to do what's necessary.
And necessary. You got to do what's necessary. Whatever it takes, do what you got to do.
To get yourself ready to rock your
gold medal influence moment.
Gold medal influence moment.
Yes.
Hopefully I will not have already said that.
And if you're on the ranch or something like that, you cross over, you've got to report that you cross over at the nearest port of entry.
Wow.
So I was
So you're fluent in Spanish, I guess.
Más o menos.
Más o menos.
Un poco.
Poquito.
Poquito.
Well, I didn't want to learn Spanish, but I spent the first 10 years of my job at the Conservation of Puerto Rico learning Spanish.
Yeah, well, in Puerto Rico, you kind of need it.
Sitting in the boss's office. This is what I want to flip through it.
Wow.
That's Muhammad.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
There's a
Did you
picture.
take this picture?
Which one?
This
Of
one
Muhammad Ali?
Of Muhammad?
Oh, yeah, I took everything in that folder is mine.
Oh my God.
You're going to have to talk me in to where we're going because I don't have my maps on.
All right.
Oh my gosh. These are great.
There's a picture of Paul McCartney did a hit and run on me.
Yeah.
Not many people can say they had a Beatle do a hit and run.
Oh my
What do you mean he
God.
did a hit and run?
Well, I was sent to Montserrat for the Beatle reunion, which is about 400 miles east of San Juan. Flew in on a charter with a reporter from the AP. We got there and found out there was no Beatle reunion. And then Linda arrived with the kid in the mini moat, and he was naked, took a whiz. I took a picture while we were arguing with the manager of the Air Studios where he was recording. And he said, no, you can't be here. And I took the picture, and we went back, and the AP said, well, there's no Beatle reunion, come home. And I didn't take that for an answer, so I went back out. Uh-oh.
Oh my God, you are like legendary. These pictures are.
Been nominated 4 times for the Pulitzer.
Oh my.
The last time.
I want a
did
picture
win
with
the-
him before we
I
leave.
did win the Spanish Pulitzer Prize.
You
For-
did?
For Carl Walenda.
Holy shit, Carl Walenda?
I took the pictures of him dying in 1978 in San Juan.
He died?
He fell from the typewriter. He was at the.
Oh my God, that's him going.
That's him falling.
Oh dear God. Oh dear God. Oh my God.
Oh my God, is that him in the air?
That's him falling.
Oh my God.
That's chilling. Oh my God.
My finger froze on my motor drive. I had a 300mm lens. I was just lucky. How am I doing on the road trip?
Oh my
I
God.
have no
we are
fucking
totally
clue.
distracted.
We're looking at dead Carl Walenda.
Uh,
Oh shit.
the next one was a bush here in Utah.
Wow.
Home base for you.
Are we going in the home of Ken or green room? Oh, good.
Green room / Ken's office.
M&M's, right?
Yes.
Good.
And actually, little Brianna, who was had her last day yesterday, she gave candy gifts to all the staff, including a bag of M&M's from my machine.
There he is.
Oh my God, I love this.
Oh, this is Ken cardboard.
That is awesome.
Yeah, here's a display of Sharper Image products, which Sharper Image isn't around anymore, but they still license the name. So this was $18. Probably spent $1,000 at this in the last year and a half of candy to fill the thing since then. So and it's on a second 4-pack of batteries. So I guess there's the $10 worth of batteries I've also spent money on.
So it's a good business model, we could say.
Yeah,
Good
I'm
retention
losing
business
my
model.
shirt on the deal. It's pretty fine.
What I came up with this morning in my rehearsals with her is, as a result of our conversation, when you graduate from Celebrity Launchpad, you're going to be a master of communication, where the person feels like they've been heard, and that you understand what they want and what they need, and that you listen to them, and that you care, and that you like them, and that they like you. That's going to be an end result of Celebrity Launchpad. And that all came out of last night's conversation about
That's a nice
thanks
way
for
to,
coming
that's
on
a
the
nice
show.
way to say it. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, who doesn't fall in love with people you see on TV who you like? I mean, likability is in life in general is one of the biggest things ever.
100%.
If you walk in and even if you're in my backyard for a short period of time, but you like me, it resonates in a huge way when you leave. It's like, you know what, I really like being there. I liked the people. There's something for having that a level of affection.
That also played on our conversation yesterday during the day when we were talking about the experience of coming on the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we live in a very experiential world, more so than ever.
Loving my
Because
time here.
because people share that so much with each other. hey, that restaurant I went to was absolutely fantastic. And the service was amazing. And you should go too. Boom. That's advertising for us.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Totally. Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Peanut butter on the
Uh-oh. Smash that roach.
Well, if it's if it didn't break the 5-second rule, you could have still eaten.
Like I
I
just
know.
did.
Oh, all right. Can't guarantee how clean the floors are.
Like I just did.
If you become violently ill later, I guess you're not. You haven't built immunity to to Tucson bacteria.
Yeah. Who? Not really. Smile, George. Good.
Today on the Morning Blend, if you're tired of working for other people, a self-made millionaire reveals his secrets to total financial freedom. Plus, back to school is back with a vengeance. We have the tools to help students succeed, and these people have more in common than you think. Our numerologist is here with the answer. That's all coming up on the Morning Blend, starting right now.
Yeah, right. Stand by. Ready?
Yay, April. Going on TV.
Having trained over 100,000
We're having tomorrow. Do this now before one of those triple digits.
Hey, you look great. And there's the demo.
That's in the Pacific side. Yeah. That's a more developing area.
So tell me the 3 mistakes. What's the first mistake?
Mistake number 1 is the Robert De Niro mistake. You know the movie Analyze This? You've seen that great scene where Robert De Niro was looking at Billy Crystal and he's like, you're good, you.
Good.
That perfectly illustrates mistake number 1.
What's the second mistake?
Mistake number 2 is mixing strategies that you're trying to use to influence somebody.
Good. So what do you mean by that?
For example, if you're trying to influence somebody through their mind, maybe with facts and figures and clear logic, that's great. That's a strategy. Or maybe you want to reach them through their heart, how good they're going to feel when they're doing what you're asking them to do. Or maybe you want to get them in the gut. Make them worry just a little bit about what's going to happen if they don't do what you're asking. Any one of those can be really effective. The mistake is mixing those. Never mix appeals. For example, this glass of water represents my clear appeal to your intellect. But if I start pouring in a little emotion and then I start pouring in some gut-wrenching stuff, well, how appealing is this now? It's totally yucky. You don't know what it is.
Good.
Mistake number 3 is missing your Olympic gold influence moment.
Your Olympic gold medal influence moment.
Mistake number 3 is missing your Olympic gold medal influence moment. Now, what do I mean by that? Imagine your favorite Olympic athlete standing on the podium, getting that medal. How do you think they got there?
Good.
Did they get there because they really, really, really wanted it?
Or because they tried hard.
They tried really hard, or because they just deserve it.
For showing up. Just because they showed up. Good.
No,
Very good. Good. She's here. She's here. It's Tina. She's here.
How's that for awesome?
There's also a tram.
Yeah.
He
was telling me that's where the turtles, where the turtles come up and lay their eggs.
Oh, I've seen that like on Discovery Channel.
There's probably turtle poo in here from Costa Rica.
Could block
Oh my God, thank you. Favorite guest of the day. You are so awesome. So, you want to do this portion during the mistakes? You want to do the
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Mistakes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then you'll kind of mix.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be pretty simple. I'm just going to pour a little bit of this.
Awesome. Aaron,
Just in?
so I'm going to ask a question, or it's going to come up about 3 mistakes.
1:30.
Second mistake is going to incorporate the 3 mistakes. The second mistake includes this.
You have fun? Good.
Sit there and look pretty.
Stand there.
Look pretty.
Do
Sit there
that.
and
It's
look pretty.
amazing.
Just be you.
I love everything you're doing.
She doesn't.
That's your Christmas present right there. And one time I'm going to give you a big
Yeah,
old.
let me see. What happened to the magic bullet?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I feel like my husband's purposefully like using it every night now to like prove to me
To
that.
prove that you want
Right.
that you, yeah.
I did a 3-day cleanse
Probably
totally
is.
like random the
25.
other day.
I don't talk about that all day with you.
Right? And I was like, and I bought like a little magic bullet to like mix the smoothies
Yeah.
and whatever. And when I was done, he was like, "Oh, my daughter would love this." And so I was like, "Oh, go ahead and take it." I was like, "I got a blender at home," and then my husband was like, "What are you doing?"
What did you do with my
I was gonna use that. I'm like, "No, you weren't." And so luckily he's using it every night to be like, "I was gonna." Yes. You are never gonna drink these smoothies.
He used it for about 2 weeks and
And then it'll
Yeah.
collect dust.
Give it a couple
Doesn't
more
take
weeks.
it.
Give it $5
Yeah.
for it, and it'll be good.
I was like, my husband, he's so
You should just get a Ninja Kitchen, man. Spend the money, get one.
It's my kid.
We'll start with the Y
My
first.
kid, I'm
Like,
not gonna buy that.
Y. Sounds
Bullet.
great right in there.
Yeah, that's perfect.
It's $40. That's what
I
you
heard you
need.
guys had a great dinner last
Stand
night.
by,
We
Tina.
did. We had a lot of fun.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
it's great.
the steaks there are so amazing.
Actually, they really are.
Ready?
Are you trying to maybe build up the courage to ask for a raise from the big boss? Or are you about to go in for an interview for a new job? Or heck, maybe you just want to convince your spouse to go to a certain place for a vacation. No matter what you're trying to use your influence for, April Armstrong says that you should be putting your focus on becoming a master winfluencer to achieve your goals. And April, I know you're going to tell us what that means in just a moment, but thanks so much for being here.
It's great to be here, Tina. You know, the book How to Win Friends and Influence People has been a bestseller for decades, and for good reason, because you and I and everyone in our audience is influencing people every single day in big and small ways. Like you said, maybe it's just, where should we go for dinner tonight? That's a small way. But it may also be trying to talk your boss into taking a risk with your big idea, or maybe you're going for that promotion, or you just want to get your kids to clean up the house before the company comes over. You know, it doesn't matter. If you want to win, though, in that moment, you need to be ready to rock that influence moment.
Now, and didn't Forbes say that 2017 is the year
Of the influencer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is a perfect time for us to be talking about this. Like you said, big or small, but why is it so important for us to take charge of this?
You know, I've been in Washington, D.C. for 20 years, working with top officials at the White House, the Department of Defense, Fortune 500 companies. I'm working with leaders who are influencing a lot of people every single day. I've had a lot of opportunities to watch what they do. And I see 3 big mistakes that can cost them their influence in the moments that really count for them. Mistake number 1 one is what I like to call the Robert Deniro mistake. You know the movie Analyze This?
Yes.
There's that great scene where Robert De Niro is looking at Billy Crystal and he's like, you're good,
Yes.
That perfectly illustrates mistake number one because research shows that people do things for their reasons, not ours. So if you really want to influence me, you got to make it more about me and less about you. Mistake number two is mixing strategies that you're using to try to influence somebody. So for example, say I want to influence you through your mind with logic and stats and facts and figures. That's great. That is a strategy that I could use. Or maybe I want to reach you through your heart, how good you're going to feel if you'll just do what I'm asking you to do. Or maybe I want to get you in your gut, make you worry a little bit about what's going to happen if you don't do what I'm asking. And any one of those strategies alone can work really, really well. The mistake, though, is when people mix those in one conversation. So, for example, this glass of water represents my clear appeal to your intellect.
Okay.
Crystal clear. But if I now start to mix a little emotion in there, and now I start to mix some gut-wrenching stuff in there, well, how appealing is that to you now?
Not.
It's not! It's totally yucky! You don't know what that is? That's the mistake. Never mix those strategies in one conversation. Go with one. Stick with it. Mistake number three is what I like to call the Olympic gold medal moment missed. Missing that Olympic gold medal influence moment. And think about or remember your favorite Olympian standing on that podium, getting that medal around their neck. Well, did they get there because they really, really wanted it? Or because they tried really hard? Or thought they deserved it because they showed up that day? No, they've been getting up at 3:30 in the morning for the past 10 years, practicing relentlessly, doing rehearsal after rehearsal, looking for every single thing that could go wrong and correcting for that in advance so that they are ready to rock that moment when it really, really counts. And that's what you need to do if you want to be what I like to call a master influencer and rock your gold medal influence moments.
I love it. So we're seeing a winfluencer because we want to win the moment, be
Yes.
that person like that golden Olympian. I want to be the Michael Phelps of what I'm doing.
Yes.
And so we want people to avoid these three mistakes. And I know you help people kind of get to that good place.
I do. And so I like to say, if you want to win when it really counts, you need to remember W. Number one, W. Wonder, what will it take for the other person to want to do what you're asking them to do? I, identify the strategy that is going to be best for that situation and that person and stick with it. Don't change strategies unless you can see that it's not working, and then switch to a different strategy. But never mix them.
Okay.
And the N stands for necessary. You've got to be willing to do what's necessary, whatever it takes to prepare yourself for that moment. That's going to mean some research. That's definitely going to mean some preparation. It's probably going to mean some role play. It may even mean doing something you don't want to do. Oh, no. But it doesn't matter. If you want to win in that moment, you're going to be willing to do it because you're going to be willing to do what it takes to rock your influence moment.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go do some influencing.
Awesome.
I'm definitely ready. Well, let's get everybody home also ready because be on the lookout for the new book that's actually called The Day One Executive. You can actually follow on Facebook and Twitter. For more information, you can also visit dayoneexecutive.com. Now, if you know someone who is a Leo or you were born under that sign, our numerologist is going to tell us what that tells us about you a little later in the show. So stick around for that.
Yeah, April, she did what's necessary.
So cute.
Watch your microphone. Watch your microphone. Watch. Stay right there.
Oh, no worries.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Yep.
Good.
She did what was necessary. Ooh.
And who's used to being attached to their chair every day?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to. I don't want to touch the drinks.
Sorry.
Oh.
It was not working fast enough.
He's so blown away by that.
Yep, I was just
sip
glad you
of
didn't
Drinking
yucky.
that, right?
Glad you didn't throw up on yourself, Patricia.
And I didn't touch the drinks because I didn't want to risk anything.
Did you hear her squealing? Did you hear her squealing? She was squealing. That was great.
Thank you guys.
Yay.
Why did you make me do that?
10 years ago, you realized it was just chocolate.
Right. I was like,
Yes,
what?
exactly. That is so funny.
That's exactly what that reminded me of. I was like, that could either be really amazing or really horrible.
Yes.
One way or the other.
Make it out.
You guys
Thank you,
are so
Tina.
funny.
Go to the
I know.
That was the moment. I hope they covered it. I hope you had good coverage on that squealing host. That was so good.
I'm sure we did.
Yeah.
They're fast and they have trigger backs.
Yeah, like that line. You know, these are some of the strategies you can use
Yeah.
when you're trying to influence somebody.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
good.
I pulled that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks to you.
You know, whether you want to come back on the show or not, whatever, you need to pitch the producer and get used to pitching in the studio, loud, not being embarrassed,
Loud and proud.
loud and proud,
Loud and proud.
exactly. Because, and it has to be high energy. Because remember what I said yesterday, or this morning rather, every minute that you're in the studio is audition. Okay? What happens? They bring in dogs. Hello, baby. Hello, baby doggy. Daddy loves baby. Daddy loves baby. Hello, baby.
What's his name?
Buddy.
Buddy?
He totally has a TV smile. Yeah. He's got his underbite, so it's really cute.
Hello, doggy. Daddy loves baby.
We're not messing around.
This is sand. You thought it was salsa, but this is actually sand.
Man, these M&Ms,
Those are peanut butter M&Ms.
You know, it's like a jailbreak.
they're frisky.
They're trying to run away.
Ken, I had such a fun, fantastic time on your show.
Oh,
Thank
next
you
time we'll
for
have
the
to make it a
great-
musical.
Thank you for the great
Oh,
honor of
thank
being
you.
on your show. Oh my gosh.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Online video will be up probably around 1 o'clock or so.
That sounds great.
And yeah, next time you come back, we will have to make it a musical.
I love that. I love that. That would be tons of
This
fun.
is like playing a slot machine.
Yep.
I know.
Sometimes you get the jackpot. Sometimes you get nothing.
If you did come back, what else would you like to do here,
And
April?
I do have another segment that I've actually done on 3 stations in the East Coast
Okay.
on called three tips. You don't have to hate your job, basically. 3 tips to
Avoid hating your job.
So it's more kind of a career-oriented segment. What do you think?
I think the 3 tips are there could be some really inappropriate jokes at this point.
Yeah, really. What are the 3 tips?
Well, one is writing your own performance review, not leaving that in the hands of your boss. Another is networking up as much as you're networking out and down. Most people focus too much of their networking at a peer level or down.
Okay.
And maybe they're intimidated or whatever, but they're not making enough of an effort to network up, not only in their own company, but in other companies, because that will increase their perceived value. What's the 3rd tip? Oh my gosh, there is one more. There is one more. Gosh, I think the other one is maybe like being willing to say yes to any. We talked a little bit about this last night with some of how you got started, but being willing to say yes to anything because you really don't know what door that could be opening for you, and then really paying attention to what you love about that experience, even if there's things you don't
Did you
like
see
about
the
it.
movie The Yes Man
No.
with
Do I need to see it?
Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
I
And you can
love
only
Jim
say
Carrey.
yes, right?
You can only say yes.
Really? Oh, that's
So
good. I can use
there's
that.
there's a good
Piece of
there's a
B-roll.
good renter for you.
Totally right.
Hour and a half, 2 hours of Netflix, well worth it.
Okay.
And Clint had the exact premise right. He didn't have a very happy life and went to a seminar, and part of the instruction was you can't say no to anything.
I love that.
So
I'm
he
going to weave that into a
ended
segment now.
up having all kinds of experiences, including falling in love.
Aww.
It was very
That's
sweet.
great.
Is there a good scene we can pull out of that for B-roll? For that segment?
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes, there is.
All
Oh my
right,
God, this
beautiful.
great.
All right, good. Well, you know, you'll send him your proposal, send him a link to some clips. She booked this one off cold calls. She, you know, before I did Celebrity Launchpad, I had another seminar called Instant Local Celebrity where I would teach people just how to cold call on the phone and book yourself on TV. And
Oh,
she
wow.
booked 3 appearances
I
with
did. I
cold
was just
calls
kind of
with this.
experimenting. I'm like, I don't know if this really works.
It's a
Let's
good
see.
segment.
And I did. I booked myself on, and that's when I was like, all right, hashtag this shit works. Let's play a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, steak, and I guess we covered this a little bit last time as well, is that you know, the Chicago deep dish pizza popcorn story is a bullseye of what we're talking about, which is, you know, that's something that resonates with an audience. It's local and it's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, hey, I'm going to come on and show you how to make $1 million next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I get 1,000 of those a year. Everyone's an expert at something that is no different than anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long loaf of white bread.
Yep.
So
like last night.
yeah,
all
it's a
that white
long
bread.
loaf of white bread. It all looks the same. It all feels the same. Everyone's presentation's pretty craptastic.
Uh-huh.
So actually bothering to come up with an interesting concept, even if it's a spin on something that is not an interesting topic. I know I say that all the time on Celebrity Launchpad. I'm like, okay, you guys have hard work. You have to take your, I've said this a few times at least. You have to take a subject that may be challenging and figure out how to make it interesting.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, you'll get the book. No question.
Cool.
Because I'm in the same dilemma that everyone else is. I need to find compelling content.
Yeah.
The question is to decide what is compelling and what just sucks.
Did you ever watch that segment on David Letterman, Is This Anything? Did you ever watch Letterman?
I did occasionally.
But you never saw that?
I never saw that.
YouTube it.
All right.
Is it anything? That was the name of the segment. And they just have people come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
They would just have people come on the show and they would just do something on the stage. And then Paul and Dave would decide, was that something or was it nothing? That was the whole segment. Really, really good. That was like our favorite segment. Because it's essentially what television is all about. Is it something or is it just nothing? And you only want stuff that's something.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
True story.
All right.
Like that segment.
And with that, I would say April was something today and did a great job.
Thank you, Clint. Thank you, Ken. Thank you again. I learned so much from you also between last
you are
night
very
and today.
kind.
So, okay. So, all right. So we just wrapped up. Have a seat. Sit back, please. So we just wrapped up. I know. But you're going to see it really doesn't matter because your vision of who you are and what you are is putting you under much more of a microscope than a television camera is going to put you under.
Well, I hope so because I look like I'm about to take somebody down in the NFL.
I don't think so. I think you looked great. So, all right. So what's your takeaways from your experience at the Morning Blend?
Well, I think first of all, realizing like, you know, I don't have to be so stressed about all this TV stuff. Like I've been feeling a lot of anxiety, but I have to say the Morning Blend, the set, the crew, their talent, like actually they're having fun, and Ken, the producer, is all about having fun, and
he's very unusual in that
regard. He really
regard.
is, I know, but that actually really helped to put me at ease.
Definitely.
And more of you shows up when you're just having fun. So that was a takeaway.
Have more fun?
Have more fun.
Okay,
definitely.
That's good. I like that. What else?
Fun is a huge, cannot be underestimated takeaway.
What else?
Again, even though I love to hate him and he drives me crazy sometimes, the importance of doing what Clint says and this whole bit about showing up at a level 10 and playing at a level 10, because the fact is on set, you're going to be nervous, and by definition, that's going to drop you down 3 levels. So you're going to feel like you're talking at a level 15 just to hit a level 10, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Yeah, you really have to remember WWQLD, what would Queen Latifah do? Not let anybody's low energy bring you down in your energy, because it's a high energy environment, and unless you are a big energy, you're going to come off small.
Yeah. Hashtag exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. One more takeaway.
One more takeaway. You know, I think the other big takeaway is the importance of being, you know, different. You've got to be different. And I've got a segment that I think is great. I think everything, you know, I think I've got a message that everybody can really benefit from. I feel passionately about that. That's why I'm giving my own personal time and money to get the word out on this. And yet it could be perceived as just vanilla, as Ken Carr would say, one big long piece of French white bread, like, because all of these kinds of generic segments can look and sound alike. So you have to have a segment that's got a great hook. It's got to be different. It's got to be something that everybody instantly can really see themselves relating to. And that means you got to put a little heart and soul and time into making your segment special.
You missed a word, and the word begins with the letter E. Yeah, the word begins with the letter E. You have to put heart and soul and time and energy into coming up with ideas that are going to be different, coming up with twists that haven't been done before, coming up with fresh stuff and fresh new looks, even at the old stuff, because these TV producers have been pitched every single thing under the sun. He told us he's received 1 million pitches of, you know, how to become a millionaire, and none of them are any different. They're all just white bread. So you really have to put more energy into becoming the TV celebrity that you want to be. As I like to say, remember, E equals MT squared. Energy equals more television and more television. And if you're not getting enough television, it's because you're not putting in enough energy. And if you put in more energy, you will be rewarded. Television is the way to transform everything about you. Like I was saying early this morning, when this video began, I said, as a result of our dinner last night with Ken, Celebrity Launchpad graduates are going to become masters of communication, making people feel comfortable, making them feel heard and listened to and understood and liked, and making people like you as a result of your communication. And all of that is available from going on more television and more television and more television. So that's really what this is all about. And if you are interested in having more television in your life and being on more television and taking your life to a new level, go to guaranteedcelebrity.com, because I am looking forward to seeing you on television.